Hi, you guys had questions about my video from yesterday about Three-Eye Atlas and the three waves of ascension, so I'm here to answer some questions. First of all, will people disappear? So when we are looking at the three waves following into or flowing into the collective ascension that's happening, at the earliest late next year, moving into early 2027, the first three waves are ascensions in individual consciousness with particular cohorts of people within the collective. When I say the collective, I mean the entirety of the human population. So there is a very small number of individuals that are going to be moving and anchoring into fifth dimensional consciousness through this first wave, through the second wave, through the third wave, incrementally more people that are moving into and anchoring into that level of consciousness with each wave. So no, those people are not going to disappear. They are going to be anchoring into a different level of consciousness. Second, does this trigger the solar flash? No. So these waves are not solar flashes. There is ongoing solar activity, and the solar activity that is being emitted from the sun is a symbiotic experience that's happening with the uptick and increase in frequency that is happening on the planet. The solar activity is actually a reaction to the frequency of the Earth, and the frequency of the Earth triggers the solar activity. So it's this symbiotic process that is assisting in the evolutionary process that the Earth is undergoing and us as expressions of the Earth. So the final collective shift into that collective fifth dimensional consciousness does have what we would consider a solar flash or solar activity associated with it, but there's solar activity happening the whole time. The solar codes are a big part of what is activating us and increasing our frequency, but it's not a particular solar flash moment at any of these ascension or any of these first waves moving into that collective ascension point. What they have given me in terms of information about this, and part of what I initially channeled with this was that, okay, we're going to have a cutoff from higher dimensional information. Particularly channelers or people that are accessing intuition, we're not going to be able to utilize these tools as much. And although that is true, what is also true is that it is really just an internalization that is required. So if there is any kind of externalization happening, if you are going outside of yourself for answers of any kind, you are not going to be successful at this time. This period is forcing you to go inward. And what I said at the end of the last video, where this is a boss level PhD final test, is accurate. So as the individuals that are going to be a part of each of these cohorts, this is your final Earth School test. And the information that we are being given right now is basically the professor giving us the outline of what the exam is going to hold. So we know what to prepare for. We know what is incoming for us. And the individuals that are a part of each of these cohorts have been doing the work. We have been doing the work to clear the space, to create positive coping habits, to go inward, to stop externalizing, to move away from fear, to move towards authenticity, to move towards alignment, to move towards love. We know the formula. And so when we get put into this final testing ground, it's not like we're there with no resources. We have accumulated the resources, we have accessed knowledge, and if you don't feel like you're there yet, you're probably part of one of the later waves, and that's totally okay. The only thing that happens if you go into one of these waves and you don't move through it and anchor into fifth dimensional consciousness is that you've just repeated a pattern like we've literally done for lifetimes. It's not a big deal. You'll get another shot. It's okay. So for the individuals that are going into these periods, it's an opportunity to put your money where your mouth is, to actually utilize all of the healing practices that you have accumulated, to actually do the work that you say that you are doing. And what it looks like, and the next question is, how do you know if you've ascended? So if you move past this testing period, you can kind of look back on your life and you can look at the different cycles that you've been in, the patterns that you've potentially been stuck in over time, the things that have been difficult for you to move out of. And at a certain point in time, there is a point where you look back and you're like, oh, I'm no longer falling into that pattern. And that's what's going to be on the other side of this testing period, but with everything that stands in the way of you being your most authentic, aligned, and expansive self. There will be no limitations. You are an embodiment of your highest version of self, of your higher self at that point. And so you will no longer be holding on to facades. You will no longer be holding on to fear. You will no longer have any armoring. You will no longer be acting in ways or falling into coping mechanisms that are assisting in masking any wounding around anything, but, particular core wounds or abandonment, rejection, different relational wounds of all kinds. We'll no longer be falling into those things. That's how you'll know if you have ascended, because those are the core energies that, if they have not been acknowledged and released, are going to continue to perpetuate externally and are going to continue to be part of the reasoning why unaligned or fear-based choices continue to be made. So us being in an ascended state is us no longer making those choices. It's us being in our alignment, in completeness. Will the outside world collapse at any of these waves? No, but there's going to be dissonance. So if there is an increase within the mass majority of individuals on the planet of dissonance, internal dissonance, and we're kind of feeling cut off from our expansive selves or our, higher understanding, that is going to typically manifest outward. So it's likely that there are going to be external distractions and external dissonance, external havoc happening outside of you. But all that you need to focus on is what's happening inside of you. I feel like the latter months of this year is when that split between old Earth and new Earth, it's already happening, but it's going to become more and more obvious. And so all that you need to do is focus on bringing your attention into yourself, tending to yourself, doing the work to make you feel whole, complete, and in union, in alignment, in authenticity inside you. Don't worry about that shit. Second, or next, will all humans shift at the collective Earth shift? No, they won't. And there was another question, how many people are shifting at each of these waves and into the collective shift? And the true answer is that it's up to you. These are free will decisions. It is 100% in your control whether or not this happens for you or not. It is 100% in your control whether or not you decide to be uncomfortable enough to allow for fear to drop away, that you can look at yourself plainly enough to see the patterns that are still in place, that you can see the things that have not fully been acknowledged or recognized or tended to or loved enough inside yourself, and finally do the work to tend to those things. These are the things that most of us are trying to run away from, or have been trying to run away from through the course of this lifetime and many lifetimes. And the way out is going inside. We have to clear the space. We have to acknowledge the density. We have to release the density, and we have to fully and completely surrender. So that's it for today's video. I hope I answered enough of the questions. I'm going to go live on TikTok tonight, if today is the day, September 18th, that you're seeing this video. I love you all, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.